Welcome back to another episode. Before we get into this is going to be a seriously heavy topic, okay? But I just want to make a disclaimer before we jump into this. I am not trying to be the bearer of bad news. I'm not trying to be all gloom and doom. I wish every success for Pentax. I love the brand. I love the way the cameras handle. I love the feel. I love the build quality, everything. However, I am a firm believer that you should also plan for the future. With that said, there are some issues, and I've been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I've come to the realization that it seems to be fairly high time to figure out, in regards to moving to another camera, what are your options that are as close as possible to what we're used to in regards to Pentax. Again, I'm not trying to be doom and gloom at all. That's not the point of this video, but a lot of people are, I, myself included, focusing more on the whole what should Pentax do in the future? What are we going to expect from Pentax in the future? Pentax future. But the truth of the matter is, even in regards to the K1 Mark III, they have clearly stated that they are having issues acquiring components. I've done a lot of thinking about that. I don't believe it's components such as gears or gears for the motors and things like that. I don't think it's the the shutter or the mirror motor. I don't think that's the issue. I also don't believe that there's an issue in regards to the screen, similar to what they went through with the K70 to KF. The K70 to KF is different. The K70 was a much older camera. I guess that screen resolution was no longer being produced, so it got a better screen, right? Could be the same thing with the K1 Mark III, but that would not be a full stop in regards to not being able to produce the actual camera, right? It would just be same screen size, higher resolution, just plug and play, done, right? Now, the part that I think they're having a problem with, and this is a seriously big problem, it has to do with the DSLR technology, namely the autofocus sensor and the imaging sensor that would work properly with a DSLR. Mirrorless camera sensors are not the same as DSLR sensors. Unfortunately, that's just how it is. The mirrorless sensors, the phase detect autofocus pixels, autofocus points, the phase detect autofocus sensor, there we go, is directly imprinted on the imaging sensor itself. The problem with that, if you're using a DSLR, is the fact that the mirror will block the autofocus sensors, right? It's a completely different way that these systems work. Mirrorless camera is the sensor is constantly exposed all the time when the power is on. DSLR camera, the mirror blocks the sensor, so those autofocus points will basically see nothing but black because they're being blocked by the mirror. That's a problem. That is a big problem. If those sensors are no longer going to be produced, what does Pentax do at that point? How does that affect them? Right? What are we expected to do? Right? Yeah, it's a really, really tough question, and I think it's something I don't know how many people have really thought about this, but this is a very strong possibility that there just will no longer be DSLR autofocus phase detect sensors being produced, and there may not be any more DSLR image sensors being produced. Everything will be all in one contained unit designed for mirrorless cameras. That's a problem for PENTAX because they have made it adamantly clear that they believe in the future of the DSLR, and with them saying that, they will require DSLR components. And unless Ricoh invests the money to produce their own sensors specific for their cameras, if these components are no longer being produced, then PENTAX is going to have to walk back the whole only for DSLR thing, right? And it also causes another problem. Them entering the mirrorless game will be so late compared to the leaps and bounds that the other companies are already at, because they've been in the mirrorless game already, right? So yeah, it's not good. It's really not good. And then where does that leave us, right? You know, cost of repair and components not being produced anymore, so maybe you can't get things repaired, right? So then you're left having to purchase a different camera. So which camera is as close to what we're used to in regards to the feel of PENTAX? And that's another big, what do you do? How do you make the right decision, right? You know, I mean, there's some people that say, you know, Nikon is the closest to PENTAX. There's other people that say Fuji is pretty close to PENTAX. You know, other than that, you know, there's Canon. Some people say the build quality of Canon is on par with PENTAX. You know, there's, you know, Micro Four Thirds, Olympus, with the way the features are and the innovations and things like that. Some people say that they are closer to PENTAX, and the switch from PENTAX to Micro Four Thirds, specifically, OM systems now. The move to OM systems apparently isn't that big of a leap. It's pretty on par. At least that's from what I've seen snippets across the internet. But at the end of the day, like, what do you really do? The fortunate thing is all these cameras are available at camera stores for you to actually check out in person, so you can make your own decision, right? Yeah, but just food for thought. What, like, they can't get components, or they're having trouble getting parts or components for developing the K1 Mark III. And I really strongly think it has to do with the DSLR specific things, right? Again, the autofocus sensor, no, just saying hi to my neighbor, autofocus sensor and the imaging sensor. Like, yeah, it's a really, really tough spot to be in. You know, PENTAX should never have stopped their mirrorless releases. They were one of the first, you know, the PENTAX Q, yes, the KO1, I'll mention that too. You know, so they already had that, and they've said they can do mirrorless technology. They have it, but they can't, or I should say they won't, because they are focusing on DSLR. But then if you can't get any of the parts to build a DSLR and you don't want to close up shop, you won't have a choice but to have to go back on what you said, which will end up leading to lack of credibility, because this is what you said. You know, it's a really bad situation to be in. But what do you think? What do you think the issue is in regards to components that they cannot get for the K1 Mark III? Because in all honesty, the K1 Mark III should have been out already. It really should have. K1, K1 Mark II, the K33 came out. It's been a few years. K1 Mark III, it's long overdue. So yeah, and what are your thoughts in regards to what if there are no more DSLR components being made? You cannot get your camera repaired. Where are you going to move to? Right, that's another big question. But trying to stay loyal to PENTAX, but having to move to another system in regards to the look and the feel and the build quality, what are your thoughts in regards to which competitor is closest to the ethos of PENTAX? I'm interested to hear your thoughts, but these are my thoughts in regards to the future state and what the heck is going on. It's a really bad spot to be in. I wish them well. I think they should have opened up shop and started producing their own sensors, or gone with a different sensor manufacturer, that didn't have ties to the camera world, such as someone other than Sony. Nothing wrong with Sony if you shoot Sony. It's all good. It's okay. But yeah, what are your thoughts? Let me know. I'm gonna go. I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, peace.